Hi kids, this is my first video for you guys. Your grandma and I thought it would be fun for me to make a bunch of videos on how to do different things. So this is kind of my practice one, and I'm going to show you how to build a bunch of different fires. And this fire over here is a teepee fire. And you can see it starts with little sticks on the inside and gets bigger and bigger. This kind of fire burns really tall and really bright, and it burns up a lot of wood really quick. Now this fire over here is a stacked fire, or what they call an upside down fire, because the big logs are on the bottom. And it burns slower, and it makes a lot of nice coals for cooking. And so sometimes if you want to start a fire quick, you want to use this one here, and sometimes you can build a small teepee fire on top of an upside down fire. And then it'll get going quick for, if you need to warm up quick, and then you can have coals for cooking. And those are two fires you can make out of long sticks or short sticks or whatever you can find. Now some of this you can see is cut firewood. And if you're way out in the woods, you're not going to have chunks like this. You might have real long pieces. But if you go through the trees, you can find dead sticks that are still up on the trees, and that's what you want to find, stuff like this here. And then when it's dead and sticking out of the trees up off the ground, it's going to be real dry, and you can just break it. And anything you can't break needs to be split. This here was a big chunk of wood, and I just kept splitting it down. And what you do is you put your stick here. If you can't break your twig with your hands, it's still too thick. So we're going to put the knife up here. I'm going to hit it with the baton, and then when it's small enough to break, no, that one's still too big. And with a big knife, you can baton logs this size by pounding that through. Now, when you get some of these little ones, you want to carve fuzz sticks, and we'll go a little more into detail on that on another video. But this is a Barlow knife, and that's just the style of it, not the brand of it. This is a Rough Rider brand. But anyway, it's got a little blade that's good for whittling. And you can make these fuzz sticks. And that's what you want to put on top of your fire starter. So, that's what we're going to do there. Now, I'm not going to start this fire, and I'm not going to start this one. We will try to start this one here. Okay, this particular knife has a ferro rod right on here that you can spark and start fires with. But that's not how we're going to start this fire today. I had a friend who used to be a hot shop fireman, and he would go in where there were big fires, and he'd have everything in his backpack to fight fires all day, and then at night he would make a little fire for camping. And he'd have his blanket and cook his little fire there, and then he'd do that night after night while he was doing the fires. And I asked him what was his most dependable way to start a fire. And what he told me was what he always had was a Bic lighter. And he said that was his most dependable way. And he has other ways. He had ferro rods, he had matches, he had a magnifying glass, he had all those things, but he liked his Bic lighter. He said that was the quickest and most dependable. Now this fire here is a fire that you would build for heating at night. And this is called a long fire. And for two reasons: it burns a long time, and usually it's on a longer piece of wood. And it doesn't have to be split. But what you do have to do on your bottom log is you have to make a flat spot. And you can just take a knife and chop. Now when you chop, you want to stay, we'll talk about knife safety, but this here is your triangle of death. You don't want to be working in here. So I'm going to be out here, and I'm going to be chopping. And what I'm trying to do is make a flat spot to build my fire on. Now if this log was so big that you couldn't even move it, you could still make your flat spot on it and build your fire there. So anyway, that's what we have right here. And I have some of these fuzz sticks here. I've got these little fire starters I made that I also carry, and they're out of wax. And you can carry a whole bunch of them in a very small package. They're wax and cotton. You can start them with a match, and you can start them with a spark. And you just tear one off. So here we're gonna. It's kind of windy out. Some more of these on here. And this is a very easy way to start a fire. Now these two twigs are green, and I'll show you what those are for in a moment. Let's keep playing on these twigs. I'll put this lighter back in my pocket where it's warm. I'll bust up some of this here. Add that on there. But now what we're going to do is add our top log. Now, like I said before, this log could be really long. It doesn't matter. And the longer it is, the longer you can build your fire. But after you add these here too, these here aren't going to burn as much. And you could, if your log was longer, you could space these green sticks out. And so it's just the dry sticks that are going to burn. But then you take another log that you've flattened off, and you put the flat part on top like that, like a sandwich. Now the reason I have it up on these two other logs is to get it up out of the snow. But anyway, this here throws all the heat out to the sides, and it will burn very slow for a long, long time. And that's how you build a long fire. Now in another video I'm going to show you how to burn a couple torch type fun fires, and they're good for campouts. And sometimes you have to prepare those or have your dad prepare those before you go out camping.